not research related, Sri Prabhu TV, but basically in the backdrop of this morning's meeting with the Prime Minister, there's been so much of to and fro. You've seen, you've been critical of the Indian economy. So, how did it go? What can you just tell us your opening statement on that?
So, Prime Minister, I'm going to say this, and I'm take no more questions on this. Prime Minister started by cracking a joke about how the media is trying to trap me to say anti-Modi things. He's been watching the TV, he's been watching you guys, and he knows what you're trying to do. So I think stop.
So you had a good cordial meeting.
Yes.
I have a question regarding West Bengal. How do you think, I'm Gautam from Aishramai, how do you think, what are the steps should be needed to with better job opportunity and rural distress, to overcome this rural distress?
I have no idea. I don't. I think I take pride in the fact that I'm happy to say I have no idea about many things. I have no idea.
Hi, I'm Maitri from the Hindu Business Line. My question is surrounding the rural healthcare delivery and what can we do to make it better. Two issues that we face is one, lack of manpower or lack of trained manpower. Second being the budget, the healthcare budget. So, in your research, if you could comment on that.
Let me say one thing, which is that in fact we have one of the highest share of private expenditure. So the healthcare budget is not at the margin. People are spending money. The question is more: are they spending the money on the right things, and are they getting value for that money? And that's what we're trying to fix. You don't seem happy with that answer.
So, would you please let us know the kind of research that you've put in over the years, along with the collaboration, which is shedding more light on the kind of problems we have and how we can solve
I mean, I did answer that maybe too briefly, but what I was trying to say is that I think the big question is when people spend lots of money, are they spending the money on the right thing? And there, the quality of the healthcare they're getting is the key issue. And the research we've been doing for 20 years now on healthcare suggests that a big concern is that they are not getting value for money.
What should be done?
Oh, lots of things. I mean, one of the things the topic of this today's seminar was what should be done. And I'm going to say a little bit and let maybe Dr. Chaudhary, if he wants to add to that. What we're trying to achieve, one of the things is take the people who are practicing healthcare, who are not necessarily trained a lot, and train them more with the idea that they are providing healthcare. We can't deny their existence. They may not have an MBBS degree, but they are providing healthcare. You have to somehow recognize their existence, and you have to get them so that they can be frontline workers.
প্রফেসর ব্যানার্জি বলছি 2010 সাল থেকে আপনারা বিভার ফাউন্ডেশনের সঙ্গে গ্রামীণ স্বাস্থ্য সেবা নিয়ে ট্রেনিং দিচ্ছেন এটা
I think Gautam, I know Gautam. So he's from Calcutta. You tell in English so that
Speak
other
in
people
English.
can also comprehend. Yeah.
Yes.
you are giving training to the so-called work doctor or গ্রামীণ স্বাস্থ্য সেবক which is under serious criticism. Will you please tell me how will you try to implement the project so that the rural healthcare system will get benefited out of this?
I mean, I don't think I'm saying. I think already answered that question, which is that I think you can either deny that they exist, and given that most of the healthcare is provided by them, you can then bear the consequences, or you can actually recognize their existence, and then you can actually regulate them, you can train them, you can require standards of quality. আপনি অনেক বলেছেন আর আরেকজনকে বলতে
Sir, Revanshu from Anandabhaya Putrika. Yesterday you said that what ODC to the quality of education. So, are you going to do anything like what Professor Singh did after getting Nobel Laureate? Do you have any idea on that? Doing?
No, I haven't thought about it.
And what is the? I mean, when you are worried about this quality of education, what is your?
I've done 25 years of research on it. I'm worried about it. I've already paid my dues a little bit to it, and then we're still working on it. We still try, a very large part of my own work in India is on education, trying to improve the quality of teaching. And most of those are with Pratham, and many of them are published. You can look it up. It's nothing, it's a very much, I mean, one of the things that the Nobel Prize Committee recognized is that body of work on education in India.
Professor Banerjee, there is a program in West Bengal called Kanyasri. Kanyasri,
I don't know enough about it.
So,
I
this is a direct cash transfer to the girl child to continue their studies up to 12 and then.
I don't know enough about this. I'm not going to speak. I reserve the right to be ignorant about things and not answer them. I'm not supposed to be the person who knows everything. I'm going to insist that that's important. We should speak about what we know and not just use this as an opportunity to air opinions about everything.
Okay, thank you.
Professor Banerjee, it is Sandeep Rapport.
I think you've asked. I'm going to let somebody else
I
ask.
never asked you.
You did. You did. I'm not that.
इस समय की भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था से आप संतुष्ट हैं और क्या
English में पूछिए. English में पूछिए.
You are happy with Indian economy and what you have been with PM?
I won't answer that. Ask a question that's more specific. Than
Yeah,
that.
I at the very outset, I tried to, because this was really all through the day we had stormed our brains, and Abhijit has contributed tremendously. So it would be great if you use this opportunity for, healthcare planning in the country, rural healthcare delivery in focus, or his areas of research, which all of you know, you must have done your homework on this. And so please come forth with some information which would use your, copy also. Go ahead.
I think it's a very needed. It does something very important, which is it deals with the fact that healthcare expenses wipe families out, and it does something very important there. I think it's something that we need. We need to find ways so that families don't lose all their assets when somebody in the family gets sick. So I think it serves a very important gap in our economic structure.
So, what were your recommendations from today's meeting about the healthcare reform? What did you?
I mean, it's not the kind of meeting that has a recommendation, but it was a meeting which was very fruitful. I thought I learned a lot, and I think it was starting a conversation with the Niti Aayog in particular, and with ICMR on what do you do about this world where there's enormous amount of kind of healthcare that's provided outside the formal healthcare system. So that's what this conversation was about. Most healthcare, like majority, much more than a majority of healthcare is provided by people who are not recognized as healthcare providers. What do you do in that world? That's the question.
How can we develop the rural health programs? What's your suggestion? I'm Indrani from Calcutta.
I don't understand the
How
question.
can we develop our rural health programs?
Problems.
What's your suggestion, sir?
Yeah, there are so many issues. Indrani, can you be a bit more specific for him to answer?
Humanitarian problem and lots of women's problems we face in India, sir.
Look, I don't have anything particularly useful to say about that. I mean, I think we're all struggling with this problem that there is Dr. Paul, who was speaking here an hour ago, was making the point that behavior change is very important because, for example, the exclusive breastfeeding rates, which are critical for our children, is only 50%. So I think we have to somehow figure out ways to get women who are critical agents in this to be more full participants in this program of making our children and our country more healthy.
Professor Banerjee, are you happy with the way we are progressing on tackling malnutrition and stunting in the country?
This is one of these classic glass half full, half empty. We had for a long time we had plateaued completely, and now it's starting to improve. We see the improvement. Is it fast enough? No. Is it still better news than we had like 5, 7 years ago? The answer is yes.
Professor
Sir,
Banerjee,
do you want to speak on the bank crisis or anything?
I'm just pointing to him.
Professor Banerjee, I have two small questions for you. First thing, have you interacted with ICMR? And the second thing, have you suggested them something for the future researches?
So we just they were part of this meeting. We had a good interaction, and we're hoping we'll build a research partnership between JPAL, which is our organization, and ICMR.
So this is Bhaskacharya from Qatar TV. Have you already suggested any sort of your ideas to develop the human to improve the human development index practically, and secondly to combat the present scenario which may not be very good economic scenario, especially in India?
I'm not. I think I haven't done anything. Let me answer half your question, which is I have no contribution to the Human Development Index. I think it's fine without my contribution. It's useful, and
And the last question.
and I don't want to answer that. I think that's not today's subject.
Your work is basically theoretical based. How it would implement learning practically?
I mean, I don't know what you mean. I spend a huge amount of my life trying to do things that are not theoretical based. In fact, if you look at what I'm getting a prize for, it is the opposite of theoretical based. But I can't defend myself any more than that.
Yeah, as one of his co-workers, let me mention. I just want to add. We at Liver Foundation West Bengal, we had been working together with Abhijit and J-Paul. So it had been a pleasure and learning for us to see the way he used to do homework, used to interact, used to sit on the doorstep of the informal care providers whom we are training and all. So it's onus on us to correct this, that he is absolutely reverse of what a theoretical scientist or a theoretical economist is supposed to be, and that's from our personal experience in West Bengal at least, and that he had done in other areas also.
It's very kind. Yeah.
Himanshu from ETV. One small question, sir. The most important question for our is the slowdown of the economy. How do you
Can we
see
not talk about this? I've spent endless days talking about this.
But we have not.
You had, if you listen to the number of times I've said something about it, I think people are bored. Let's stick to the topic of on the what's happening on the ground. I don't want to talk about it.
So I just want. I'm Jordi from Madhapur newspaper. It's published from Kerala. I would like to get some regarding that. You have cooperated with the Kerala government with the Ardhram mission project, and at that time you have some unpleasant experience. You have got.
I didn't have any unpleasant experience. It didn't go anywhere, but that's often the case. There are all kinds of constraints. I wouldn't say it was unpleasant. It was pleasant actually. Everybody we talked to was very generous and kind. It just sometimes there are constraints and it didn't go anywhere.
Are you ready to cooperate with the again?
Sure. I always say anybody comes to us with a problem that's actually important and for the lives of the poor, that's our job. We cooperate. You've already had a chance. Yeah, I guess there's no one else.
So I basically want to, this is a big movement and a proud moment for you all in the random controlled trials that you do. But there are also certain critiques of it. Do you believe this is the best way forward, or is there, to your critics who are saying that it's not, more sin than, how do you respond to them, and what's your kind of response you want to give?
I'm going to give the response that everything is only relative to the question you want to answer. If you want to know whether training some rural healthcare providers improves healthcare, you better do a randomized control trial. If you want to know what the monetary policy should be for a country, don't do a randomized control trial.
You are a proud pride of whole world, Bengal and Bengal.
So what you want to contribute?
Carrying all this weight.
What you want to contribute for the state of West Bengal?
I say, if we are asked to do something that's useful, we almost never say no. Jepal is always willing to go try it out, try to find ways to work with governments. We worked with West Bengal government with Chaudhary, and we will continue to do so, and we'll work with other governments. We work. We don't go and just generally deliver wisdom. I don't have wisdom. If you ask me a specific question, I might know something. I'm happy to use it.